Why do Japanese seniors over 90 sleep better than Western seniors over 60? Deep, restorative sleep. No fragmentation. No 3 a.m. awakenings. No pills. They require 40% fewer sleep medications with longer REM cycles. Most people think it's genetic. Wrong. The data reveals something more interesting. These seniors do something fundamentally different from Western medicine's approach. Nothing to do with supplements, devices, or pharmaceuticals. I've spent 40 years studying longevity in Japan, working with elderly populations, analyzing their sleep patterns, understanding why they maintain cognitive sharpness and restorative sleep into their 90s. What you're about to learn isn't complicated. 8 interconnected habits. 8 daily practices that regulate your nervous system and optimize sleep architecture without medication. These address the root cause of sleep fragmentation, the biological mechanisms that create poor sleep as we age. Most sleep advice fails because it addresses one variable only: a supplement, a device,
a breeding technique.
But sleep results from cumulative daily choices: light exposure, movement, eating windows, food selection, temperature regulation, cognitive stimulation. I'm deconstructing these 8 habits now. Each has a biological mechanism. Each explains why it's critical after age 50. Each shows exact implementation. This is grounded in sleep neuroscience and preventive medicine. This transforms sleep for thousands of people. Stay with me. Before we continue, if you've been struggling with sleep, lying awake, waking exhausted, never feeling rested, this is for you. Drop a comment and tell me your biggest sleep struggle. When you name it, your brain starts solving it. You become alert to solutions. And if this resonates with you, hit like. When you engage with content that matters, the algorithm reaches more people who desperately need it. If you haven't subscribed, understand that the next videos go deeper. Week-by-week protocols. Troubleshooting for different situations. You won't want to miss this. Now let's examine what's actually happening in your nervous system when sleep fails. Sleep quality isn't determined by sleep duration alone. It's determined by nervous system state throughout the entire 24-hour cycle. Your cortisol patterns, circadian alignment, digestive state, thermal regulation, these create sleep quality. Japanese seniors sleep better because their nervous system is fundamentally different by bedtime. Their cortisol levels are lower. Their parasympathetic tone is higher. Sleep isn't forced. It's natural. It's automatic. Cortisol is your primary stress hormone. It should be high in the morning and decline throughout the day by evening. This is circadian alignment. But in Western populations after age 50, people wake to artificial light. They sit for hours. They experience stress without movement counterbalance. Cortisol remains elevated when it should be dropping. By evening, their nervous system stays activated. They can't sleep because their brain is still flooded with cortisol. Japanese seniors disrupted this pattern completely. Sunlight resets their circadian clock. Gentle movement depletes cortisol. Their eating window supports digestive rest by evening. They've created an entire daily rhythm guiding cortisol down and parasympathetic activation up. This is why these 8 habits work. They're not random. They're a systematic approach to nervous system regulation. After age 50, your natural resilience declines. Your circadian system becomes more fragile. You need more precision. These habits provide that precision. Medication forces sleep. Habits eliminate why your nervous system stays activated. Habits teach your body to do what it's designed to do. The first habit is deceptively simple. Within 30 minutes of waking, expose yourself to direct natural sunlight for 10 to 15 minutes. No sunglasses. No barriers. Direct light. When light enters your eyes, it stimulates photoreceptive cells in your retina. These send signals to your suprachiasmatic nucleus, your master circadian clock controlling every biological rhythm in your body. This morning light exposure sets your circadian clock for the entire day. Tells your body it's morning, time to be alert. Simultaneously, it programs your melatonin to rise approximately 14 to 16 hours later. This is how your body knows when evening comes. This is how it knows when to sleep. In Western populations, this signal is broken. People wake indoors in dim artificial light. They check phones emitting blue light at close range. By sunrise, they're already stimulated. No circadian reset happens. After age 50, your circadian system becomes more fragile. Retinal cells become less sensitive. Your suprachiasmatic nucleus doesn't receive signals as clearly. Sleep fragmentation increases because your body doesn't know what time it is. Morning sunlight exposure directly counteracts this decline. It provides a strong, unmistakable circadian signal even an aging nervous system can't miss. It resets your entire endocrine system. It suppresses melatonin during the day and primes evening melatonin. Application. Within 30 minutes of waking, step outside into direct sunlight. 10 to 15 minutes is sufficient. Let light hit your eyes directly. This single habit sets everything up. This is why Japanese seniors maintain circadian alignment into old age. This is why their cortisol naturally supports wakefulness during the day and sleep at night. Comment. I'm starting with the morning window. This is the foundation. The second habit is something that most people get wrong. They hear movement and they immediately think exercise. They think gym sessions. They think high-intensity intervals. They think pushing their body to exhaustion. That's the opposite of what we're talking about. In fact, intense exercise in the afternoon can actually disrupt sleep. It elevates cortisol at the wrong time. It activates your sympathetic nervous system when it should be winding down. Japanese seniors incorporate 20 to 30 minutes of structured, low-intensity movement into their daily routine. The key word here is structured. It's not sporadic. It's not occasional. It's part of their daily rhythm. And it's deliberately low intensity. We're talking about walking. We're talking about light gardening. We're talking about Tai Chi or gentle movement practices that don't elevate the heart rate to high levels. This type of movement does something very specific to your nervous system. It activates your parasympathetic nervous system. That's your rest and digest system. It doesn't trigger the fight or flight response that high-intensity exercise triggers. Your body remains calm. Your cortisol is managed. But at the same time, your body is actively moving, which depletes what we call adenosine. Adenosine is a neurochemical that builds up in your brain throughout the day. As adenosine accumulates, it creates what's called sleep pressure. By evening, when you've built up adequate adenosine through gentle movement throughout the day, your brain naturally wants to sleep. This is why timing matters so much. Most Western populations approach movement wrong. They either don't move at all, they sit for 8 hours at a desk, then try to fall asleep at night with no adenosine accumulation and no cortisol depletion. Or they exercise intensely at night, which is exactly the wrong time to activate their nervous system. Japanese seniors do this in the morning or early afternoon. By moving gently but consistently during these hours, they accomplish two things simultaneously. They deplete cortisol gradually throughout the day, bringing it down to appropriate levels by evening. And they build adenosine steadily, creating natural sleep pressure that makes sleep inevitable by bedtime. After age 50, this pattern becomes increasingly important. Your body becomes more sensitive to the effects of high-intensity exercise. If you do intense exercise in the afternoon or evening, your cortisol spikes at exactly the wrong time. Takes hours to come back down. Your sympathetic nervous system remains activated. By the time you try to sleep, your body is still in an activated state. But if you do gentle, consistent movement during daylight hours, your body responds perfectly. Your cortisol depletes. Your adenosine builds. Your nervous system stays calm. The distinction between exercise and movement is critical here. Exercise is goal-oriented. It's about results. It's about pushing your body to a higher intensity. Movement is just moving. It's walking because you're going somewhere. It's gardening because you're tending to your garden. It's stretching, it's gentle activity, it's simply being in motion. Japanese seniors don't go to the gym and do cardio. They walk to the store. They tend their gardens. They do daily activities that involve movement without being about the movement itself. Here's the application. Incorporate 20 to 30 minutes of gentle, purposeful movement into your morning or early afternoon. Walking is ideal. A brisk walk, but not a sprint. Light gardening. Tai Chi if you're interested in something more structured. Even housework, sweeping, organizing, light physical tasks counts. The goal is to move your body consistently, keep your heart rate moderate, avoid the stress response of high-intensity exercise, and allow adenosine to accumulate naturally. The consistency is what matters most. This isn't something you do once a week. This is daily. This is part of your routine, because your nervous system responds to consistency. When your body knows that this low-intensity movement happens every morning or early afternoon, it begins to anticipate it. It begins to regulate cortisol around this pattern. It begins to expect sleep pressure to build predictably. Many Western people over 50 are sedentary all day, then try to walk for an hour at night, thinking that will help them sleep. But they're doing it at the wrong time. They're triggering cortisol elevation late in the day. They're creating adenosine buildup at a time when their body should be winding down. Japanese seniors have learned that the timing is as important as the movement itself. This is also why it needs to be integrated into daily life rather than being a separate workout. When movement is something you do as part of your daily activities, walking to accomplish something, moving because you're engaged with your environment, it doesn't trigger the stress response that formal exercise does. Your nervous system doesn't perceive it as a demand, perceives it as part of your natural rhythm. Start tomorrow. If you're not currently moving for 30 minutes daily, gradually build up to it. Walk instead of driving for short trips. Garden. Do yard work. Move consistently, calmly, without intensity. By the time afternoon comes, you'll have naturally depleted cortisol and built adenosine. By the time evening comes, sleep will feel natural. Comment. Movement throughout the day makes sense, because that's exactly what this habit is designed to do. Not to exhaust you, not to prove something to yourself, simply to create the physiological conditions that allow sleep to happen naturally. The third habit is something that Western medicine barely mentions when talking about sleep, but it's foundational. Japanese seniors eat their main meal between noon and 1 in the afternoon. If they eat a second meal, it's finished by 6 in the evening. This creates a minimum 12-hour fasting window every single night. That's 12 hours where their digestive system is completely shut down. No food processing, no metabolic activity in the digestive tract. Complete rest. Now, most people don't understand why this matters for sleep. They think digestion is only relevant if you have obvious problems like acid reflux or heartburn. But digestion affects your entire nervous system. Digestion is metabolically expensive. When you eat, your body shifts energy toward the digestive process. Your parasympathetic nervous system is activated, specifically the vagal branch that controls digestion. Your metabolism increases. Your body temperature rises slightly. All of this is appropriate during the day. But when you eat late in the evening, you're activating your body's metabolic machinery at exactly the time it should be winding down. Here's what happens in Western populations. People skip breakfast or eat something small. They have a moderate lunch. Then by late afternoon, they snack. They eat dinner at 7 or 8 in the evening. Some people eat even later. They might snack after dinner. They might have a late-night dessert. What this means is that their digestive system is working throughout the entire day and into the night. Their metabolism never fully shuts down. Their body never enters a true resting state. When they try to sleep, their body is still in active digestive processing mode. Sleep becomes fragmented because their body is still working. Japanese seniors have preserved a completely different eating pattern. They eat their largest meal at midday. This provides calories and nutrition when their body is active, when they're moving, when they're engaged with their day. They might have a light meal in the early evening, but it's finished well before bed. By the time evening comes, and certainly by the time they're trying to sleep, their digestive system has hours already to rest. Their stomach is empty. Their body doesn't have to maintain metabolic activity for digestion. Can truly rest. This pattern becomes even more important after age 50. Your digestive system becomes slower with age. Your stomach processes food more slowly. Your intestines move food through more slowly. Your body's ability to digest food rapidly and completely declines. So if you eat a large meal at 8 in the evening, your body might still be processing that food at midnight, at 1 in the morning, even at 2 in the morning. Your digestive system is working. Your metabolism is elevated. and you're lying in bed trying to sleep while your body is essentially working. But there's another mechanism here that's equally important. When you eat late, you disrupt something called your metabolic switching. Your body is designed to switch between fed state and fasted state. In fed state, when you've recently eaten, your body focuses on digestion and energy storage. In fasted state, when you've been without food for several hours, your body shifts to maintenance mode, cellular repair, detoxification. After about 12 hours of fasting, your body enters what's called autophagy. This is a cellular cleanup process that's essential for health and longevity. Japanese seniors trigger this metabolic switching every single night. Because they eat their last meal by 6 in the evening, by the time 10 or 11 in the evening comes and they're sleeping, they've been in fasted state for 4 to 5 hours already. By morning, they've been fasting for 12 hours or more. This regular fasting window supports cellular repair, supports metabolic health, and importantly for sleep, it means their digestive system isn't active while they're trying to rest. The application is simple. Stop eating by 6 in the evening. Ideally, eat your largest meal at midday. If you need a second meal, make it light and finish it by 6. Then fast overnight. You're not doing extreme calorie restriction. You're not doing anything complicated. You're simply creating a consistent window where your body rests from digestion. That's 12 hours minimum. Most people find that after this becomes routine, they naturally feel less hungry in the evening anyway. Your body adapts. Your metabolism adapts. Your digestive system adapts to expecting food during certain hours and rest during others. This single change often has an immediate impact on sleep quality. Because once your digestive system stops working, your body can actually rest. There's no more metabolic activity competing with sleep. There's no more acid reflux or mild indigestion keeping you partially awake. Your sleep becomes deeper. You wake up more rested. And you haven't restricted calories. You haven't done anything extreme. You've simply aligned your eating window with your sleep window. After age 50, this becomes almost non-negotiable if you want quality sleep. Your digestive system simply cannot process large meals late in the evening and still allow your body to rest adequately at night. The timing becomes the intervention. Not what you eat necessarily, but when you eat. Comment: I'm going to stop eating after 6. Because this habit will change your sleep faster than almost anything else. Your body will respond almost immediately, and you'll realize that you don't need medication for insomnia. You needed to align your eating window with your sleep window. This is foundational. This is non-negotiable. This is where many people start seeing dramatic improvements in their sleep quality within just days. The fourth habit is where things get interesting from a neurochemical perspective. Japanese seniors consume fermented foods at almost every meal. Miso, natto, tempeh, pickled vegetables, fermented soy products, fermented fish. These aren't supplemental. They're not occasional. They're integrated into the everyday diet. And they're not there for taste alone, though they add incredible depth to Japanese cuisine. They're there because fermented foods do something very specific to your gut microbiome that directly affects your sleep chemistry. Here's the mechanism that most people don't understand. When we talk about sleep, we talk about the brain. We talk about neurotransmitters in the brain. We talk about the prefrontal cortex, the thalamus, the brainstem. But 90% of the body's serotonin is not produced in the brain. It's produced in the gut. And serotonin is essential for sleep. Not just for mood regulation or depression prevention, but for actual sleep initiation. Your gut microbiome, that's the community of trillions of bacteria living in your digestive system, directly controls whether your body produces adequate serotonin. But it's not all bacteria that supports this. Specific bacterial populations produce specific neurochemical precursors that your body converts into serotonin. And these specific bacteria populations are promoted by fermented foods. When you consume fermented foods, you're not just getting nutrients. You're introducing beneficial bacteria. You're creating an environment in your gut that favors the growth of bacteria that produce GABA and butyrate. These are the exact neurochemicals your brain needs for sleep initiation. Now, this is where most nutritional recommendations fail. People hear about the importance of serotonin, so they take a serotonin supplement. But your brain can't absorb serotonin from the bloodstream in high amounts. Serotonin needs to be synthesized in the cells of your brain. And the precursor to serotonin is tryptophan, an amino acid. Your gut bacteria help metabolize tryptophan and produce serotonin-related compounds. But if your microbiome is dominated by bacteria that don't support this process, which is common in Western populations, then no amount of tryptophan supplementation will help you. You're trying to fix a bacterial problem with an amino acid supplement. Japanese seniors have preserved a different relationship with their gut. Because they consume fermented foods regularly, their microbiome contains robust populations of lactobacillus and bifidobacterium species. These are the exact bacteria that support neurotransmitter production. They have higher microbial diversity. They have bacteria that produce GABA, which directly reduces nervous system activity. They have bacteria that produce butyrate, which supports the integrity of the gut barrier and prevents something called leaky gut, which would otherwise allow bacterial metabolites to cause systemic inflammation and sleep disruption. After age 50, something happens that most people don't realize. Your microbial diversity naturally declines. The number of different bacterial species in your gut drops. Your ability to produce these sleep-supporting metabolites naturally decreases. This is one of the reasons why insomnia becomes more common with age. It's not just that your brain ages. It's that your gut microbiome ages. It becomes less diverse. It becomes less capable of supporting the neurochemistry of sleep. Western populations compound this problem by consuming highly processed foods that actively select against beneficial bacteria. The application is straightforward, though it requires shifting your food choices. Introduce fermented foods into your diet at most meals. If you're not currently eating fermented foods, this might feel foreign. But these foods are available in any grocery store. Miso paste can be stirred into soup or broth. Tempeh can be cooked like any other soy product. Pickled vegetables can be eaten as a side dish. Sauerkraut, kimchi, these fermented foods are becoming increasingly available in Western grocery stores. The goal is to create an environment in your gut where beneficial bacteria thrive. This doesn't require massive quantities. A tablespoon of miso in soup daily. A small serving of pickled vegetables with lunch. These small, consistent exposures to fermented foods gradually shift your microbiome toward a composition that supports sleep neurotransmitter production. This typically takes 2 to 4 weeks before you notice effects. But once your microbiome has shifted, your body naturally produces the neurochemical environment for sleep. There's something else important here. When you consume fermented foods, you're consuming probiotics and prebiotic compounds. But more importantly, you're consuming metabolites that these bacteria have already produced during the fermentation process. These metabolites include short-chain fatty acids, specifically butyrate, which your brain cells can actually use directly for energy and which signals your immune system to calm down. Western populations are missing these entirely because they consume sterilized, processed foods that have no living bacteria and no fermentation. This is why simply taking a probiotic supplement isn't the same as eating fermented foods. With a supplement, you're getting specific bacterial strains. With fermented foods, you're getting bacterial strains, metabolites they've already produced, and a diverse community of bacteria that interact with each other and with your gut environment. It's more complex. It's more powerful. It's what your gut is designed to receive. Start slow if you're not currently eating fermented foods. Your gut needs time to adapt. But within weeks, as your microbiome shifts, you'll notice changes in your sleep quality. You'll feel yourself becoming calmer in the evening. You'll sleep deeper. You might even notice your mood improves because these same neurochemicals support mood as well as sleep. Comment: I'm adding fermented foods to every meal because this habit directly influences the neurochemistry of sleep at the source. Not at the brain level, but at the bacterial level, where your body actually manufactures the chemicals that allow sleep to happen. And once you understand this, you realize that sleep medication isn't addressing the actual problem. It's just temporarily suppressing your brain's awareness of a problem that still exists. The fifth habit is something that Western nutritionists have completely misunderstood. They tell you to minimize salt. They tell you that sodium intake should be as low as possible. But this advice has actually disrupted sleep for millions of people, especially after age 50. Japanese seniors consume mineral-rich salt regularly. They don't fear salt. They understand that salt, specifically the right kind of salt with the full spectrum of minerals, is essential for nervous system function and specifically for sleep quality. Let me be clear about what we're talking about here. We're not talking about the processed, bleached salt that comes in most salt shakers. We're talking about sea salt that retains its mineral content. We're talking about salt that contains not just sodium chloride, but also potassium, magnesium, calcium, and trace minerals. Japanese seniors get much of this through traditional broths. Dashi, for example, which is made from kombu seaweed and bonito fish. These broths are mineral-rich. They're consumed regularly. They're foundational to Japanese cuisine. Here's the neurochemistry. Your nervous system operates through electrical signaling. When a neuron fires, sodium and potassium move across the cell membrane. When a neuron rests, magnesium helps it relax and recover. When your muscles try to relax, calcium and magnesium work together to allow muscle relaxation. If any of these minerals are insufficiently available, your nervous system can't function properly. You experience muscle tension. You experience involuntary muscle contractions, restless leg syndrome, for example. You experience nervous system hyperexcitability. Your body literally cannot transition into sleep because your nervous system can't relax. After age 50, something profound happens with minerals. Your ability to absorb minerals from food decreases. Your stomach acid decreases, which is essential for mineral absorption. Your intestinal lining becomes less permeable to minerals. You might be eating adequate minerals, but your body isn't absorbing them. Additionally, if you've been restricting salt for decades based on conventional nutritional advice, your body has adapted to lower sodium and potassium levels. This adaptation doesn't just reverse overnight. Your cells have learned to function with lower mineral availability. But when you start consuming mineral-rich salt and mineral-rich broths, something changes relatively quickly. Your cells start recovering. Your nervous system starts having the minerals it needs for proper function. And sleep improves. Many people notice that simply increasing their mineral intake, particularly salt and magnesium through food sources, their sleep becomes deeper within days. The mechanism is straightforward. Your nervous system needs to transition from sympathetic activation, the alert, awake state, to parasympathetic activation, the rest state. This transition requires minerals. Magnesium specifically is called nature's relaxant. It's involved in hundreds of enzymatic processes, but one of its primary functions is nervous system relaxation. Potassium balances sodium and helps muscles relax. Calcium works with magnesium for muscle and nervous system function. If you're deficient in these minerals, your body literally cannot relax. You can't transition into sleep. You can't stay asleep. You wake up from the slightest noise because your nervous system is still in a state of tension. Here's what makes this particularly insidious. If you've been restricting salt based on conventional health advice, and you've been eating processed foods that are stripped of minerals, you might be profoundly mineral deficient. You might have tried every sleep medication, every sleep supplement, every sleep device, but the actual problem is that your nervous system doesn't have the minerals it needs to function. And you're never going to fix that with medication. You fix it with food. The application is practical. Start incorporating mineral-rich salt into your diet. Sea salt, Himalayan pink salt, Celtic salt, these retain their mineral content. Use them generously in your cooking. Don't fear salt if it's the right kind of salt with the full spectrum of minerals. Additionally, incorporate mineral-rich broths into your diet. If you're not going to make broth from scratch, you can buy bone broth or vegetable broth that's simmered for long enough to extract minerals. A cup of broth daily provides minerals in a form your body can absorb. Additionally, eat mineral-rich vegetables. Leafy greens especially. Seaweed if you like it. Nuts and seeds. These all provide minerals that your nervous system needs. One thing that many people find helpful is a simple mineral supplement if they're severely deficient. But the goal should be getting minerals from food sources. Your body absorbs minerals from food more effectively than from supplements. And there's something about mineral-rich food that seems to work synergistically. When you eat bone broth, you're not just getting minerals. You're getting collagen, amino acids, and minerals in combination. Your body knows how to process this. When you eat mineral-rich salt and mineral-rich vegetables, Your body absorbs and utilizes these minerals more effectively than from a supplement alone. After age 50, you might need to take this more seriously than younger people. You might need to be more deliberate about mineral intake. You might need to stop restricting salt if that's something you've been doing. And you definitely need to stop fearing salt. Your nervous system needs salt. Your sleep quality depends on it. Magnesium is particularly important for sleep. If you want to supplement one mineral, magnesium is the best choice. But even better than supplementing is eating foods rich in magnesium, leafy greens, nuts, seeds, and pairing these with adequate salt so your body can absorb and utilize them. Comment: I'm prioritizing minerals for sleep because this is one of the most overlooked mechanisms of sleep quality. Your nervous system can't relax without minerals. Your muscles can't relax without minerals. You can't sleep deeply without minerals. And once you understand this, you'll stop blaming yourself for insomnia and start addressing the actual physiological need that your body has. The sixth and seventh habits work together as a thermal regulation system. And this is where the precision of Japanese sleep culture becomes obvious. Japanese seniors take a warm bath approximately 90 minutes before bed. Then they maintain their sleep environment at a consistent temperature of 62 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 17 to 18 degrees Celsius. Every night, consistently. This thermal cycle is non-negotiable. It's not something they do sometimes. It's something they do every single night, creating a reliable pattern that their body learns to anticipate. This might sound overly specific, but the biology is precise. Sleep onset requires a specific physiological event. Your core body temperature needs to drop by approximately 2 to 3 degrees. This temperature drop is the signal to your brain that it's time to sleep. Without this temperature signal, your brain doesn't initiate the sleep sequence. This is why people often struggle to sleep in warm rooms. Without a temperature drop, the signal never arrives. Your brain never starts the cascade of events that leads to sleep. Here's what happens when you take a warm bath 90 minutes before bed. The warm water causes peripheral vasodilation. Blood vessels in your skin dilate. You lose heat to the environment. This causes your core body temperature to drop. This drop is profound. It creates a significant temperature signal to your brain. Your brain registers this temperature drop and interprets it as the signal to initiate sleep. Simultaneously, the warm bath itself triggers relaxation. Your parasympathetic nervous system activates. Your muscles relax. Your mind settles. Then, when you step out of the bath and into a cool environment, your bedroom at 62 to 65 degrees, the temperature drop accelerates. Your body is already in a vasodilated state, so it loses heat rapidly to the cool environment. Your core temperature drops even further. This extended, sustained temperature drop is the ideal setup for sleep initiation. Your brain is receiving a clear, unambiguous signal. Sleep is coming. Prepare. But here's what happens in Western populations. Many people take hot showers right before bed, thinking the heat will relax them. But a hot shower right before bed creates a sustained, elevated body temperature. When you get out of the shower and into a warm bedroom, there's minimal temperature drop. Your brain never receives the signal. You're lying in bed, warm, and your brain is confused about whether it's time to sleep or not. Additionally, many Western bedrooms are too warm, 70 degrees or higher. This prevents the core body temperature drop that's essential for sleep. After age 50, thermoregulation becomes increasingly problematic. Your body's ability to regulate temperature naturally declines. Your core temperature doesn't drop as naturally in the evening. You experience more temperature fluctuations throughout the night. This is why so many older adults struggle with sleep. They're not receiving adequate temperature signals to sleep deeply. They're experiencing temperature instability throughout the night. The solution isn't medication. It's creating a reliable, consistent thermal environment and thermal pattern. The application requires some precision, but it's simple once established. First, get a thermometer for your bedroom. Your sleeping environment needs to be 62 to 65 degrees. This might require adjusting your thermostat or using air conditioning if you live in a warm climate. This temperature is non-negotiable. is cool enough to facilitate temperature drop, but not so cold that you'll shiver and activate your sympathetic nervous system. This specific temperature range has been shown repeatedly in sleep research to support optimal sleep architecture. Second, create a bath routine approximately 90 minutes before bed. The bath should be warm, around 100 to 103 degrees Fahrenheit, roughly 38 to 39 degrees Celsius. Soak for 15 to 20 minutes. This duration allows your core body temperature to rise and your peripheral vasodilation to become established. Then, when you get out and move into your cool bedroom, the temperature drop is significant. This triggers the sleep sequence. Now, you might think 90 minutes seems like a long time to wait between bathing and sleeping, but this timing is deliberate. As you cool down in that 90-minute window, your body temperature continues to drop gradually. By the time you're ready to get into bed, you're already well into the temperature drop process. You get into cool sheets in a cool room, and the temperature drop accelerates further. This sustained, consistent temperature signal is what your brain is waiting for. It initiates the sleep cascade. Sleep becomes almost automatic. The consistency is crucial. Your body adapts to patterns. When you do this every night, warm bath 90 minutes before bed, cool bedroom consistently, your nervous system learns to anticipate this pattern. Even on nights when you don't take a bath, your body knows that it's approaching the time when temperature would normally drop. Your brain starts preparing for sleep. You've created a reliable, repeating signal that your aging nervous system can count on. This is why so many sleep recommendations fail. They ignore the role of temperature. They recommend meditation or breathing exercises or supplements. But if your bedroom is too warm and you're not creating a temperature drop signal, none of those interventions will work effectively. Your brain is still waiting for the temperature signal. Without it, sleep initiation is compromised. One additional note: if you have a sleeping partner, this is something you both need to commit to. Your bedroom temperature isn't negotiable. It's not about preference. It's a physiological requirement for sleep. If your partner wants the bedroom warmer, they're actively sabotaging both of your sleep. You might need to have a conversation about this. But 62 to 65 degrees for sleep, 70 degrees during the day. This is non-negotiable. Comment: I'm creating my thermal sleep ritual because this is one of the most powerful, most overlooked mechanisms of sleep quality. Your brain is waiting for a temperature signal. Your body is waiting for a temperature drop. When you provide this signal consistently, sleep becomes almost effortless. You're not fighting against your biology anymore. You're working with it. You're creating the exact conditions that your brain needs to initiate the cascade of physiological events that lead to deep, restorative sleep. The eighth and final habit is perhaps the most difficult for modern people to implement, and for that reason, it's often the most transformative. Japanese seniors stop consuming information 60 minutes before bed. Not meditation, not breathing exercises, not trying to calm their mind, literally just stopping. No screens, no conversations, no reading, no news, no information input of any kind. Complete cognitive rest. This is where everything comes together. The previous 7 habits have regulated your nervous system throughout the day. They've managed your cortisol. They've built sleep pressure through movement and light exposure. They've cleared your digestive system. They've provided your nervous system with the minerals it needs. They've created a physical temperature drop that signals sleep. But if you spend the hour before bed scrolling through your phone, watching television, engaging in conversations, reading emotionally activating content, you've undone everything. You've reactivated your nervous system at the exact moment it should be powering down. Here's the neuroscience. Your prefrontal cortex, that's the conscious, thinking part of your brain, requires continuous information processing to stay active. Every screen you look at, every piece of information you consume, every conversation you engage in keeps your prefrontal cortex engaged. As long as your prefrontal cortex is actively processing, you cannot transition into sleep. Sleep requires the prefrontal cortex to quiet down. Sleep requires the deeper, older parts of your brain, the thalamus, the brainstem, the structures that govern sleep-wake transitions to take over. But they can't take over if your prefrontal cortex is still frantically processing information. Additionally, there's the blue light issue. Your phone, your computer, your television all emit blue light. This blue light, at high intensity and close to your eyes, inhibits melatonin production. It tells your brain that it's still daytime. It prevents your circadian system from shifting into evening mode. Even if you're reading something that's not emotionally activating, the blue light itself is disrupting your sleep preparation. But there's something even deeper here. Information itself is stimulating. Even information that's neutral, a news article, a work email, a casual text conversation, requires your brain to process it, to formulate responses, to engage with concepts. This engagement activates your sympathetic nervous system. It elevates cortisol. It increases blood pressure and heart rate. You might not feel this consciously. You might feel like you're relaxed, sitting on your couch, looking at your phone. But neurologically, your brain is in an activated state. Your body is in an activated state. Sleep cannot happen from this state. You need to transition from activation to rest. And you cannot transition from activation to rest while still consuming information. This is why the 60-minute window is critical. 60 minutes is the amount of time your brain needs to fully transition from information processing mode to sleep mode. Without this window, the transition is incomplete. You might fall asleep eventually, but your sleep architecture is compromised. Your REM sleep is shortened. Your deep sleep is shallower. You don't wake up as rested. And throughout the night, if you've been consuming information right up until bedtime, your brain remains somewhat activated. It's ready to process information. It's not in a fully rested state. Japanese seniors have preserved this habit because it's embedded in their culture. They weren't raised with smartphones. They weren't raised with the expectation of constant connectivity. When evening comes, they simply stop. They stop working. They stop consuming media. They stop engaging with information. Their evening routine involves being present with their family, tending to their home, preparing for bed.
No devices. No activation.
Just gradual, gentle deceleration towards sleep. Now, you might think that implementing this habit requires abandoning modern technology entirely. That's not quite what's being asked. The goal is creating a boundary, a clear, consistent boundary between information time and sleep time. From the moment you stop consuming information, you're creating space for your nervous system to wind down. You're allowing your prefrontal cortex to quiet. You're allowing your brain's deeper structures to shift toward sleep mode. The application is direct. 90 minutes after your bath, or 60 minutes before your intended sleep time. Stop consuming information. Put your phone in another room if necessary. Turn off the television. Close the book. Stop the conversation if it's with someone else. Create complete informational quiet. Your mind might want to wander. That's fine. You're not trying to force relaxation. You're simply removing the stimulation that keeps your brain activated. Allow yourself to be present, to notice your environment, to settle. This 60-minute window becomes a daily ritual. It's not flexible. It's not negotiable. Just like the morning light exposure, just like the movement during the day, just like the meal timing, just like the mineral intake, just like the temperature drop, this is part of your daily rhythm. Your nervous system learns to anticipate this transition. Even if some days you're tempted to look at your phone, your body has learned that this is rest time. This is when activation winds down. This is when sleep is approaching. Many people find that this habit, more than any other, transforms their sleep quality. Because you can get all the other variables right, you can have perfect circadian alignment, perfect movement patterns, perfect meal timing, perfect minerals, perfect temperature. But if you're stimulating your brain with information right up until bed, your sleep will still be compromised. The information cessation is the missing piece for many people. It's the final piece that allows everything else to work. What's interesting is what happens after a few weeks of implementing this habit. Your mind calms, your sleep becomes deeper, and then something unexpected occurs. You start feeling more relaxed even during the day. Because your nervous system isn't in constant activation mode anymore. You're not maintaining the expectation of constant connectivity. You're not processing information continuously. You're creating pockets of genuine rest. And your entire physiology shifts toward a more relaxed baseline. This is what Japanese seniors understand. Sleep isn't something that happens at night. Sleep is the natural consequence of a day lived in alignment with your nervous system, a day with appropriate light exposure, a day with gentle movement, a day with appropriate eating windows, a day with mineral-rich nutrition, a day with consistent temperature patterns, and a day that ends with genuine cognitive rest. Comment: I'm creating my information boundary because this is where everything completes. This is where you transition from doing things that support sleep to actually resting. And once you've created this boundary consistently, once your nervous system knows that information stops and rest begins, sleep becomes almost natural. You're not forcing it anymore. You're not relying on medication. You're not battling against your physiology. You're simply creating the conditions that allow your body to do what it's designed to do. All 8 habits together create a system, a complete daily rhythm that manages your nervous system, that creates the physiological conditions for deep sleep, that eliminates the need for pharmaceutical intervention. Japanese seniors don't sleep well despite their age. They sleep well because they've maintained a lifestyle that supports sleep naturally. And now you understand what that lifestyle looks like. I know what you're probably thinking right now. This is comprehensive. This isn't just one quick fix. This is a system. And you're right. It's a system. But that's exactly why it works. That's exactly why Japanese seniors sleep better than Western populations despite being older. That's exactly why implementing these habits actually creates lasting change instead of temporary relief. The reason most sleep interventions fail is because they're isolated. Someone tells you to try melatonin. Someone else tells you to meditate. Someone else tells you to take a magnesium supplement. But they're all addressing different pieces of the puzzle without understanding how everything connects. Your sleep isn't broken because you're deficient in one specific thing. Your sleep is broken because your entire daily rhythm is misaligned with how your nervous system is designed to function. These 8 habits address that misalignment systematically. They work together. And here's what's important. You don't have to implement all 8 habits at once. You don't have to be perfect. You start with 1. You start with the morning light exposure. You get that established, that's the foundation. Then you add the movement pattern. Then you adjust your eating window. Then you incorporate fermented foods. Then you prioritize minerals. Then you create the thermal ritual. Then you implement the information boundary. Each habit builds on the previous one. Your nervous system adapts. Your sleep improves progressively. What you've just learned is what Japanese physicians understand through decades of working with aging populations. What you've just learned is why Japanese seniors maintain cognitive sharpness, physical strength, and emotional resilience well into their 90s. It's not genetics. It's not luck. It's lifestyle. It's daily choices that compound over time. So here's what I want to ask you. If this information resonated with you, if something in what you just heard triggered recognition, that feeling of, yes, this is what's been missing, then I need you to do something. Come back and leave a comment. Tell me which of these 8 habits you're going to start with first. Tell me what your biggest sleep struggle has been. Because when you comment, you're not just engaging with me. You're declaring commitment to yourself. You're saying out loud that you're going to change this. And that declaration matters. That's where real change starts. And if this video actually helped you understand your sleep better, if you feel like you've received genuine value here, then hit the like button. Not because I need metrics, but because when you engage with content that matters to you, the algorithm shows it to more people. And there are thousands of people out there right now lying awake at night, trapped in the cycle of fragmented sleep, believing that medication is their only option. They don't know that sleep can be natural again. They don't know that their body is capable of deep, restorative sleep without pharmaceutical intervention. You can help change that. By liking this video, you're helping it reach people who desperately need this information. And if you want to go deeper into how to personalize these habits for your specific situation, if you want to understand the exact implementation timeline, if you want to learn how to troubleshoot these habits for your unique circumstances, then subscribe to this channel. Because the next video we're releasing is going to walk through the exact implementation protocol. Week by week, habit by habit, we're going to address the most common obstacles that people face when trying to implement these changes. We're going to provide protocols for different age groups and different health situations. You're not going to want to miss that. But for now, understand this. Your sleep quality is not fixed. It's not determined by your age or your genetics or your past failed attempts. Your sleep quality is determined by how you're living. And if you change how you're living, if you align your daily choices with how your nervous system is actually designed to function, your sleep will change. Your energy will change. Your cognitive function will improve. Your entire experience of being alive will shift. Japanese seniors didn't discover some secret. They maintained something that Western populations abandoned. They maintained a way of living that honors the body's natural rhythms. They maintained practices that support health and longevity as a byproduct of daily living. And now you know what those practices are. The question is what you're going to do with this knowledge. The choice is yours. You can go back to trying the quick fixes. You can continue believing that sleep medication is your only option. Or you can commit to understanding your body. You can commit to creating a daily rhythm that actually supports sleep. You can commit to becoming one of those people who sleeps deeply, who wakes rested, who experiences energy and clarity and cognitive sharpness well into your later years. That version of you is possible. That version exists in Japanese seniors. That version is available to you if you're willing to do the work. Not the exhausting work of forcing yourself to sleep. The simple work of living in alignment with your nervous system. I'll see you in the next video.